Hi, my name is Brianna Jenkins, and this is AP Statistics Quideo 4. First, we will start off with the basic question. The basic question reads, the Census Bureau reports that households spend an average of 31% of their total spending on housing. A home builders association in Cleveland believes that this average is lower in their area. They interview a sample of 40 households in the Cleveland metropolitan area to learn what percent of their spending goes toward housing. Take the mean to be the mean percent of spending devoted to housing among all Cleveland households. We want to test the hypothesis. The HO is the mean equals 31% and the HA is the mean is less than 31%. The population standard deviation is a standard deviation of 9.6. A. What is the sampling distribution of the mean percent that the sample spends on housing if the null hypothesis is true? Sketch the density curve of the sampling distribution. Hint: sketch a normal curve first, then mark the axis using what you know about locating the mean and the standard deviation on a normal curve. The sampling distribution of the mean percent is 31%, 1.518%. B. Suppose that the study finds a mean of 30.2% for the 40 households in the sample. Mark this point on the axis in your sketch. Then suppose that the study result is mean of 27.6%. Mark this point on your sketch. Referring to your sketch, explain in simple language why one result is good evidence that average Cleveland spending on housing is less than 31%, whereas the other result is not. The sample for the study is found here on the density curve. P is the mean is less than 30.2, which equals 0.299, which means it's fairly likely and we fail to reject the HO. The P is also mean less than 27.6 equals 0.0126, which is unlikely to occur by a chance alone, which is where you reject the HO. C. Shade the area under the curve that gives the p-value for the result, mean equals 30.2%. Note that we are looking for the evidence that is spending less than the null hypothesis states. This shaded area is the p-value for the result of mean equals 30.2%. Next, we will move on to the advanced question. The advanced question reads, Pew Research in November 2011 polled a random sample of 799 U.S. teens about internet use. 49% of those teens reported that they had misrepresented their age online to gain access to websites and online services. A. Find the margin of error for this poll if we want 95% confidence in our estimate of the percent of American teens who have misrepresented their age online. The equation to find the margin of error is E equals Z square root P parentheses 1 minus P parentheses divided by N. When you fill in information given, you get E equals 1.96 square root 0.49 parentheses 1 minus 0.49 parentheses divided by 799, which gives you 0.035. The confidence level is then 1.96. B. Explain what the margin of error means in context. We can be 95% confident that the true proportion of teens admitted to misrepresenting their age online lies between 0.49 minus E equals 0.49 minus 0.035 equals 0.455, and 0.49 plus E equals 0.49 plus 0.035 equals 0.525. If we only need to be 90% confident, will the margin of error be larger or smaller? Explain. If the confidence interval is only 90%, then the margin of error will be smaller. Being willing to accept a lower confidence level means we can pin down the mean proportion more closely. If E is smaller, then the interval is more narrow. Lastly, we will do the AP question. The AP question reads, each person in a random sample of 1,026 adults in the U.S. was asked the following question. Based on what you know about the Social Security system today, What would you like Congress and the President to do during this next year? The response choices and the percentages selecting them are shown below. The percentages are: completely overhaul the system is 19%, make some major changes is 39%, make some minor adjustments is 30%, leave the system the way it is now is 11%, and no opinion is 1%. A. Find a 95% confidence interval for the proportion of all U.S. adults who would respond. Make some major changes to the question. Give an interpretation of the confidence interval and give an interpretation of the confidence level. There is a large sample confidence interval for a population proportion because it requires a large population, n is greater than or equal to 20n, and a large sample. The sample is considered large since the population is 1026 times 0.39 or 39% equals 400.14 is greater than or equal to 10. N times 1 minus P equals 1026 times 0.61 or 61% equals 625.86, which is greater than or equal to 10. Also, the proportion is greater than or equal to 5, which is N times 1 minus P is greater than or equal to 5. The calculation of the 95% confidence interval for one population is then found by 0.39 plus or minus 1.96 square root 0.39 times 0.61 divided by 1026 equals 0.39 plus or minus 0.0298, which equals 0.3602, 0.4198. If you do this equation with a calculator, you will get x equals 400, and you will get a confidence interval of 0.36002, 0.41971. Your confidence interval. We are 95% confident that the proportion of all U.S. adults who would respond, make some changes, is between 0.36 and 0.42, or 36% and 42%. 95% of the different intervals generated using this method will contain the true population proportion. The method we use has a 5% error rate. B. An advocate for leaving the system as it is now commented, based on this poll, only 39% of adults in the sample responded that they want some major changes made to the system, while 41% responded that they only want minor changes or no changes at all. Therefore, we should not change the system. Explain why this statement, while technically correct, is misleading. The statement is misleading because, in addition to the 39% who wanted a major change, 19% wanted a complete examination. The statement is misleading because, in addition to the 39% who wanted a major change, 19% wanted a complete overhaul and change of the system. These two groups combined represent 58%, which is more than half of the sample.